Crouse.
I feel like such a big mouth saying this, but Michael Stipe is a friend of mine,
right.
and he brought a bunch of people to see the film, and a couple of them were younger, and they said, we've never seen a film like that. We really enjoyed it. It kind of unfolded in a different way. It was very gentle, and I was like, yes, welcome to American movies. That, not are about slamming you or 3Ding you or out-cartooning you or, out-electronicizing you or whatever the words are. Welcome to stories about people that are subtle and nuanced and detailed and three-dimensional. And life is not always about huge meteorites heading towards your planet. It's sometimes just about a page turn,
Well, I think
as subtle and as beautiful as that can be.
Well, I think one of the nice, subtle moments in this movie is the love scene between you and Dustin, because it isn't what you would expect from a movie that stars a character who's a former porn star, and it isn't what you would expect from a movie being made, I guess, or released in 2011. It's subtle, it's kind of funny, it's kind of sweet, it's got so many layers going on to it, and you see nothing. I thought it was really quite lovely.
And it's also, I feel that there's very strong, I want it to be a date movie, because it is a date movie in its own way. But it's also, she makes some incredible statements. We have lives of our own. You're just another guy. You want to make me into June Cleaver. I've waited my whole life in some ways as an actress to say, look at me.
Right.
Not the images that you cast upon me, but me. Look at me. That's fantasy. This is reality. And whatever that reality is, for a woman and whenever she's, or a man, or for anybody, really, but especially for this woman who is, and for this woman that you're talking to, who has been so objectified.
Is that the reason that you took this on?
No, I didn't. I didn't understand that completely when I took it on.
Right.
And I think only in the taking of it on could I inhabit it and talk about it, and in its totality.
Right.
It came to me as something that wouldn't go away, which invariably, in just fighting for it in the theater, it won't go away,
right.
Which is its individuality. And I didn't completely understand it because it only existed in a script form.
Right.
But my instincts told me, I had that kind of prickly feeling about it, which was, which sometimes translates completely into fear. Where I guess it's the same fear where writers sit in front of typewriters, or I like to think artists sit in front of canvases or, marble blocks.
Yeah.
Is you just sort of think, how can I penetrate this? Can I express something? Ultimately, for me, it's about being human. I want to express something about being human. And it scared me, too, because I'm so associated with sexuality. Mm-hmm. And this is a very bleak result of having made choices that have sexualized this woman.
Right.
And I thought, will this just be added to a heap that I have already created of, in some ways, misunderstanding, in some ways of great celebration and jubilation. And the other side of it has been, in some cases, a desperation because I wanted to work. And did I want to do Porky's? Well, actually, no, I didn't.
Right.
But I was doing a production at the Marilyn Monroe Theater at the Lee Strasberg Institute. And Bob Clark took me for lunch, and he said, I can pay you X amount of dollars for literally 5 days' work. And with that amount of money, I could live for the next year and not have to waitress.
Right, and you could do theater, and you could do whatever else you wanted to do, and move forward.
one of the other reasons to answer your question is that I was so excited last night is that I met Patti Smith last night.
Did you? Listen, I just read Just Kids. And
isn't it fantastic?
It's fantastic. It is the best book I've read in I don't know how long. And I thought, and I've bought it and I've been giving it as presents to people.
Yeah.
Because it is just so beautifully written. And it's not about her career. It's not about, it's just about their friendship. And I couldn't put it down.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I stammered all over myself, and then she grabbed me and said that her husband, who died, was he had a huge crush on me, and from Big Trouble in Little China.
Right.
And she said, if you're in the area where she lives, she gave me her address and her phone number. I was like, what?
You have Patti Smith's phone number? Wow.
I am the coolest girl in Manhattan today. I really am. I feel so. And she says, if you're in the area, you can come by and use my bathroom whenever you want. I was like, you got to. What?
That's
and then,
yeah.
I know. I went over to Michael, and it was like, he said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'll be okay in a minute. I really will be okay in a minute." And then she was so incredibly kind. I had my picture taken with her.
Oh, wow. Well, I just loved the stories of living in the Chelsea Hotel and living next door in the the lofts that they lived in next door to the hotel.
Yeah.
And for me, it's a time in New York that I'm so fascinated by and missed. I wasn't there for that, and I was just so taken with the book and just the beauty of its language and the way that she can somehow explain the creative process, which is something that no one seems to be able to do adequately. And she touches on it in a really beautiful way in the book.
She does. And what I also loved is that moment where, for some reason, she went to that concert of the Doors, was it?
Yeah.
And she felt something.
Yeah.
That is that kind of moment where you ask me, is this why you did this?
Right.
It's that kind of a feeling. And when I read the book, I went, I don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
It was that way when I did my opening night of Antony and Cleopatra in Liverpool was like that.
Right.
It was, I felt like I was flying. And it was all about concentration and just a real kind of, how can I just, it's very difficult to explain. It's a kind of a letting go into something, which in my work now is happening. And it's not just about letting go of the way I looked or now the way I look. It's not that surface. That's quite profound in itself, actually. But what it is it's opening yourself up to something very primal and letting it take you. It's not having to control it. And that's the best I can describe it. And just having the confidence.
Well, do you think going back to the stage? Do you think going back to the stage has brought that out in you? You've spent a long time on screen, in the last 10, 12 years. Do you think going back to the theater has where you have, I think, a real chance to explore characters, and there's a real immediate response to your work, and it's a different feel, right? I
think what's happening is I have a different response to the written word than I did before.
Right.
I've always had the obligation and the feeling that especially the better the script, but I have a great need to just let that stand on its own without embroidering it, it's like what you hear of ballet dancers going back to the bar, Nureyev taking a class, a basic class, a beginner's class, with the other dancers, the younger dancers, and the company, just to go through the basics. It feels there's something attached to that, the simplicity of that.
Well, I love. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I love what you said to Dustin Ingram after the movie was over. Here's a young man who's been acting for some time. He's been working. He's now the lead in this film. And he said to you, well, what should I do? I don't know what's my next step. And you said, take acting lessons. go back and learn more.
Yes.
You know, even though he's working at a fairly accomplished level already.
Yes. I wish someone had said that to me.
Yeah.
I found my way back, actually, a short while after I started going back to scene study, partly out of desperation and partly out of necessity, because with those classes and the actors that were taking them, whether it was Los Angeles, New York, wherever, was a like mind of, as I grow, I must change, and I must, or I feel that I must as an actor, broaden what I'm being asked to do within the film world, which I have always felt in many respects in the commercial world that is never given back. It takes.
Right.
And there is no time to invest in anything other than, quote unquote, you are known for or what you do.
Right.
And what you do is based on things that are in the past, not in the present, because you've already done it.
Right.
And I don't think Miss Honeywell in Porky's represents who I was ever as an actress. View from the Bridge, much more. Salamane in the Misanthrope, much more.
Right.
These are characters who, you know, who are rooted in language and conflict, in a very with Arthur Miller, especially almost like a Greek way, you know, and Molière. It's about people living and fighting for their lives in a way, their individuality, their desires, their lives, and you know, Hollywood is that's why you don't really last too long there. You know? So what else do you got is the next thing,
right.
And if you don't find the really good directors, if you don't find the really good scripts, which are so highly competitive and coveted, and you know, agents have their clients, and I was coming up with some really stiff competition, and one of them was Michelle Pfeiffer.
Right.
And I couldn't get Michelle's gigs. I just couldn't get to that level. And I think part of me didn't really want to, in the sense of, I thought, well, then, you know, then what do I do? How can I have that kind of film career and have any kind of theater career? I couldn't really even it out, other than having one to pay the other. But I just had to go from film to film to film wouldn't really be something that would be the same experience that I was trained for and I loved, which was not just the beginning, middle, end of what theater is, but the community that theater is. Because for me now, at this point in my life, the greatest thrill that I have is to lead a company of actors. That's the greatest accomplishment. And Peter Hall, when he said that to me, he said, you're a company leader. And I thought to myself, wow, that is the greatest compliment, because you feel every night that you're going to tell this story. You know, it's unfolding, and there's always a great crew in that to protect you, whatever. But to speak up for actors, and I'm not just talking about the executive deputy, you know, if anybody has a problem or if there's something going on, you are the benevolent leader,
right.
And you will do what's right for the actor, for the show.
Richard